Here is the Syntron motherboard. There's a few things to notice right away. Of course, there's half as many ROM chips as you might expect. Of course, they're going to be twice as big in capacity. They have 1982 Syntron branding. Same thing over here with I believe that's the character ROM. But the biggest thing that I noticed when I purchased the board was the power connector is not the standard power connector. In fact, it looks to me like it might not be the original power connector that was on this board even. Try to get a closer view of that. This to me looks like the other end of an Apple power connector almost. It doesn't quite fit, I don't believe. And you can see here on the back that it's not the best soldering job. It's not super clean. There's quite a bit of flux left over on here. So this may actually have been somebody's replacement at some point. However, I have read that these did have a non-standard power connector, so I'm not sure what to make of that. I'll be replacing it with the normal Apple II power connector. If you recognize this power connector and you know, maybe at some point I could put this back and make an adapter of some sort to use a regular power supply, perhaps. But yeah, if you recognize the power connector, let me know in the comments, and I can go from there. The other thing to notice about this board is that it is missing a few chips. This here is the paddle connector, of course, but here we have an actual missing chip. And then again, down here, right next to the keyboard connector, also a missing chip. Luckily, this board is such a nearly exact copy of the Apple II from this era that it's fairly easy to make an educated guess as to what those chips probably need to be. I have replacements for them. And again, on the power connector, I did tone out each pin on the power connector, and they are exactly the same as on an Apple II as far as the layout of the pins. And I have a brand new replacement that will go in there rather nicely, and that's just a standard Apple II power connector. So let's get this off, get the new one on, and go from there. Okay, I've got the desoldering station warmed up. Here's the connector we want to remove. Let's just give it a go as is. We'll see if we need to maybe add fresh solder. But first, let's just give it a try, see what happens. Apologies for my head being in the way, most likely. Okay, well, that looked pretty good. Yeah, this seems like it's doing a pretty good job. Just as is, though, that's not coming completely off. No, that's not quite as good. Okay, so got some bent pins here. That's gonna be tough. Yeah, the way that these pins were bent in here before they were soldered is keeping the soldering tip from going down over the desoldering tip, rather. From going down. Let's see if I can get this from the side. Oh boy. Yeah, that's going to be hard. Okay, we're going to have to regroup, I think, on this one. Give this one more shot here. Nice. Okay. Let's see what we've got here. this one more go. Not terrible, not terrible. Okay, so this. Yeah, I don't know what to do about that. All right, let's try a little bit more here. Okay, so slight change of plan. I was able to go at this a little bit differently with the desoldering gun. It's fairly loose now. These pins were kind of aggressively bent over in order to get them to installed. That was getting in my way, so I was able to trim down some of those pins, and most of them are loose now. This one is a little bit reluctant. That one's loose, and this one also, I think. Okay, let's see what we got there. Yeah, I think I can actually just snip some of this thick solder away here and possibly just get this loose. I'm not super worried about these vias. Okay, everything's loose now except for this one. Let me see if I can just, let's see. I could probably, let's see if I can add some more solder here using my desoldering gun and get this one to be loose. That's all soldered back up. Now let's. Okay, that looks pretty good. Let's see what we got here. Oh yeah. These are basically all wiggling now. Let me see if I can do the same thing to this top one. It's not as loose as I had thought, but I think we're nearly there. Okay, yeah. So let's go here. Okay, that looks really good. Let's see what we got. Boy, that's super close. They are all wiggling. Which one is the one that isn't really loose? That one's not really loose. Okay, let's do the same thing here. If I can get it on there. Okay. That just soldered all over my soldering gun. Okay, here we go. That looks pretty good. That looks pretty clear. Let's do one last pass at this one. No, that one's totally loose. Okay, here we go. Yeah, that's completely loose. I think it's just, there we go. There's just mechanical friction. Yeah, these, so I don't know if you can see, but these pins were pretty distorted and able to get, in order to get them installed, I'm guessing. And I had to chop the ends off some of them, but not too bad. Let's just see if we can clean up this hole a little bit. I think this is going to be fine. All right, let's see what we got. So from the other side, that's what it looks like from the other side. And I'll want to get this in the right way around eventually, but let's just see. It looks like this was perhaps, this board was made with different connectors in mind so that they could perhaps use different parts when they were available. But yeah, this is going to work just fine. Might need to clear a little bit more of that solder out, but yeah. There we go. That's really in there. All right, I'll get this soldered in, and then we'll address these chips, and maybe then we can try powering it up. I would really, really, really like to read these ROMs before doing that, just in case, but I don't. Let me just look and see if I know how to do that. I don't know if these will read in the only EEPROM reader that I have. Okay, let's go ahead and get this new connector attached here. Should just snap in kind of easily here. Just like that. Now I'm going to try to give you guys the best view that I can of this soldering, but I mean, it's just very, very basic soldering, hopefully, so shouldn't really be that much to see, but let's get it done. The center legs are a little bit of a bridge there that I might have to put enough solder in to bridge the gap, but let's just go ahead and see how it goes. Double check that we've got it in the right way around. We do. All right, here we go. Put plenty of solder in here. Actually, I should get my fan going. Apologies for the sound here, but makes it slightly less poisonous. Okay. There we go. That one worked out really well. Okay. All right. Let's take a look here. Let's put a little bit more on this one here. I'm sure it's fine, but just for the heck of it. For completeness. Okay. Ended up touching all of them up a little bit there. All right, let's quick check for shorts. So we can do this from the other side. So these two should be ground, and they are shorted, but none of these others should be. Obviously those won't be. All right, success. So that is nice. All right. Mission accomplished. There is the new plug. And even though the soldering is not great looking, it's far better than the apparent factory what that was in there before. All right, so that takes care of that. Now we just need to address these two missing chips, and we should be ready to power it up. I did look up these part numbers on these EEPROMs. I suspect that these are ones that I could read, but since I don't know enough about them, I'm not going to chance it. I suspect these are just 2732 compatible ROMs, and I could read them with something else, but again, I'm not super knowledgeable about that stuff yet. In fact, all of this is fairly new to me, and I don't claim to be super knowledgeable about any of it. But yeah, let's get on to those, replacing those chips. Okay, let's get these replacement chips put in here. I'm going to just put a little bit of deoxit in each socket, just out of caution and completeness, I guess. There's that one. And as I block the camera, no doubt. There, we have that one. Okay. So up here we have what is this? This is a 558N, NE558N. Let's put this one in. Make sure we got our pins straight-ish. And that looks pretty good. And then down here we have a 74 something or other, 74 LS 257AN down here. I will say the actual Apple product of this motherboard is nicely labeled, whereas this one, of course, is not. Okay, that is seated. Let's double check that all the pins are straight. Everything, the chips are in the correct way around. Okay, now let's move over to where there is a display and maybe get this thing powered up. Okay, so now we have the Syntron motherboard hooked up to an actual Apple II power supply. I have a speaker hooked up. And here we go. We're going to flip the power on here and just see what we get. Okay, we got a beep. No video, apparently. Oh. Something is trying to be displayed on the video. Give it a few seconds here. Sure looked like there was something there. Oh, look at that. Okay, well, let me see if I can move you in for a closer, terrible view of this. Okay, apologies for the no doubt shaky cam and the probably poor quality of this image, but as we can see, we have a cursor. And in the middle of the screen, it says Syntron Corp. That's really interesting. I was not expecting that. I was expecting the usual header at the top of the screen, probably edited to say Syntron, but it looks like they've actually done more than the minimum amount of changes to the ROM in order to get it to work. So that's really interesting. But yeah, it basically seems like it is working. Hooray. Okay, I've hooked up a disk 2 drive with a controller card in slot 6. I have the DOS 3.3 System Master in there. Let's give this thing some power and see if it boots a disk. And there it goes. Okay, so it booted to, let me adjust the video here a little bit so you can see the screen perhaps a little bit better for all that's worth. But yeah, there it is. The video signal does not look awesome. A lot of that could be the various issues with the actual screen itself. I mean, it's yeah, but anyway, there it is, the Syntron Apple II clone. Actually booting to DOS 3.3. At some point I will need to try to find a keyboard for this. I could probably just mount it temporarily in an Apple II case and see if we can get input into it. But otherwise, yeah, it seems to be actually working. I'm very, very surprised. This is probably the first time this particular motherboard has had any power running through it, let alone running software, actually executing software in, I don't know, years and years. I've certainly owned it for at least 5, maybe 6 years. And who knows how long before that, since it had last been used. But there it is. Anyway, thanks for playing along. If you have interesting comments or things I should try, things you've noticed, things you can help me with as far as suggestions, please don't hesitate to write them in the comments. I very much appreciate all of that. Yeah. And until the next one, I think that's about it. Hopefully I will see you soon.